Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I was 22 years old when I first stayed overnight on holiday in a hotel. Up to that point, all our family holidays were under canvas. And the first one of them may have been in Finlay Carson's constituency, although it might have been in Oliver Mundell's. I'm a little uncertain in the early 50s. And picking up on what others have said, I've camped on the shores of Tummel, Tay, Lubnaig, Morlich. No, Morlich is not in Highland, but I have certainly... Lochmorlich, yeah, that's correct. But I've also camped on the shores at Rosemarkie, Fortrose, Achmelvik, many other places in Highlands, and indeed, Minister, at St Cyrus, where I went with the Boy Scouts. My first Boy Scout camp, Claire Baker may care to note, was at Anstruther, well, inland from Anstruther. So I spent a couple of years under canvas, but I was trained and brought up in the Boy Scouts by people who knew what they were doing. So hopefully, I, as a Stewart, of course, one of Scotland's great travelling families, have sustained the traditions, but also behave in a proper manner. And I think that goes to the heart of it, that yes, we can do things with legislation, yes, we can do things with facilities, but if we don't actually manage to change what goes on inside the minds of many of these people who have little respect, either for the environment or for people who live in the environment. I will recognise Mr Mountain.
Edward Mountain.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I'm pleased you remember my name. Just on that point, if I may, and I ought to declare an interest in land, a lot of people that camp on and around where I am do it with huge responsibility. Sometimes they make the mistake of leaving things behind, like stones, which they had their fire pits in, which damage the farm machinery. So some people are well-intended, but do you think the education can take those well-intended people to the next step so we can all get on without any conflict and damaging each other's enjoyment of the environment?
And tread carefully, Mr Mountain, tread carefully. Mr Stevenson.
I mean, I think Edward Mountain speaks some very good common sense, that none of us are perfect in anything that we do. And we can all improve. I think it was slightly surprising, I may say, to hear Finlay Carson say the government should be telling councils what it spend their money on. But fine, he might be quite correct. And incidentally, the first time I visited what's now my constituency was Sanine in, I think, 1963, where I was camping, of course. But the bottom line, and the last time I was camping, because I had the misfortune to marry a spouse who doesn't like camping, I was in Wadi Rum in Jordan, so we could watch the sunrise over the desert. But she didn't feel she wanted to repeat the experience after that. But the bottom line is that camping is enjoyable. It is enjoying the natural world, but we have to do it responsibly. And I was here when we passed the land reform legislation, as others were, who are sitting here, and I see Murdo Fraser nodding sagely. It certainly created an idea in too many people's minds that they, in quotes, own the country, which of course is not true. We all owe a responsibility to the country, and I think that's the important point that we want to take from this debate. I think the role of country rangers has been emphasised, and I met many, and I know the valuable contribution that they make to quite in a mannerly way helping people understand. But at the end of the day, if we've people who simply want, without regard to others' sense of what is right and proper, and others' peaceful enjoyment of where they stay, then we've got a problem that won't be solved by laws, won't be solved by trebling the number of rangers, but is something that we simply have to address much earlier in people's careers. Maybe we should subsidise the Boys Brigade and the Boy Scouts, because that's a good training ground. It's where I learned to cook, it's where I learned to camp. Presiding Officer.